Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Veilguard is finally out, and that means we finally have player count data regarding how many people are actually giving this game a try. It's been very interesting. I'm seeing a lot of copium going around, but it's relatively obvious for any neutral observer, this game is a hit. How big of a hit is it? Is it a massive hit or just a little bitty hit? We don't know, but it's most certainly a hit. Let's go ahead and get into the details. So, courtesy of Forbes magazine and Paul Tassi, I'll of course put a link in the description. Dragon Age the Veilguard sets EA and Bioware player count records on Steam. And if we get more into it, as I already said, Veilguard is a hit. After largely positive reviews, it's translated into more sales. The game is now beaten Star Wars Jedi Survivor Steam player count, which peaked at 67,855 players a year and a half ago. The Veilguard has hit 70,414 players and is currently the best-selling game on Steam, surpassing even Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Now, Paul Tassi gets into some of the unfavorable comparisons. I'm going to talk a little about this because y'all are being ridiculous. First of all, no. You cannot compare Veilguard to Baldur's Gate 3. That is absolute nonsense. Baldur's Gate 3 is flash in the pan, once in a lifetime. Whoa, who thought it was going to be this massive type of game? And sure, there was a time when Dragon Age was also selling 10, 12 million copies. That's what Inquisition did. But this game has not come out for 10 years. There was a ton of toxicity surrounding it. Nobody expected it to do those type of numbers. So we're not going to say, oh, well, it didn't equal up to Baldur's Gate 3, so apparently that means it's a failure. No, we're not doing that. Also, there's been some people saying, well, it's not really a record because the previous Dragon Age games came out during a time where you didn't track player count on Steam. And so because of that, it's not a real comparison. Nobody cares. Stop it. Stop it. Based on the market right now, the games are coming out right now, the games that EA has released right now, Veilguard is the strongest single player game they've ever had on Steam, point blank period. And it's got high sales on both the PlayStation and the Xbox. It's a hit. It's a hit. Stop with the copium trying to come up with these weird reasonings for why supposedly this game is really a failure if you think about it. And also, I want to be clear. Let's roll back the clock and talk about the timeline here, all right? It's been 10 years since Inquisition came out. EA tried to force Bioware to make the next Dragon Age game a live service game. It was going to be Suicide Squad. It was going to be Fortnite. It was going to be all that other nonsense that we've seen before that gouges customers. And somehow, Bioware convinced them after years of working on the live service game that, hey, this is not a good idea. And instead, we've got a single player game with no microtransactions whatsoever, no DRM, and it does not require the EA launcher. Don't sit up and tell me about, oh, well, it's got to hit this crazy high mark in order for it to be a success. I am so thankful that to the best of their ability, the Bioware devs have delivered a Dragon Age game that Dragon Age fans would actually want. So miss me with that nonsense. No. And then to reinforce that further, Forbes mentions that Veilguard was #1 pre-ordered on PS5 ahead of launch, and it currently sits at #5 on the most played chart, the only single player game on the list. Got to keep that in mind as well. There are a whole lot of free-to-play games or multiplayer games that will do higher numbers. How many single-player games with none of that microtransaction nonsense are doing this well? Not many. Xbox charts, unfortunately, we don't have enough data yet, but come on now, who actually believes it's going to be like number 15 on Xbox chart? This game is a hit. This game is just a hit. And then he also goes on to mention that the Steam user reviews, for the most part, sit at mostly positive among those who have purchased the game. Now, I'm going to say up front, most likely, I haven't heard any direct information about this, but most likely that's because there's been a purge of a bunch of reviews that were from people who hadn't actually played the game. Basically, you have these folks like 30 minutes after the game came out, there were this swarm of negative reviews saying, oh, you know, it has trans content, it has LGBTQ content, et cetera, and that's why this game is horrible. So these bad faith actors who pretend that they're providing an honest review and have actually played the game, but they really haven't, and they have nothing to say. So more than likely, EA and Bioware, they had to purge a lot of those, because I know the score was mixed at one point, but then once you got rid of those people who hadn't actually played the game, looks like it's sitting at around 79%. Obviously, that's a very, very positive score. I released my impressions video earlier today. Thus far, I'm having fun with it. I don't think it's like the greatest Dragon Age game ever. I'm not crazy impressed with it, but I don't think it's a disaster either. And I absolutely want to see another Dragon Age game from this Bioware team. So take that as you will. And then the Forbes article also goes on to mention, you know, the elephant in the room. Bioware needed this. Bioware really needed this. It's a hugely important title for Bioware to get past the negativity surrounding their last two major releases, Mass Effect Andromeda, and of course Anthem. And frankly, even going back before that, Mass Effect 3, it was really rocky. I think the Citadel update for the ending was very well received. A lot of people felt like that did a lot more to soften the blow of the ending. But, you know, a lot of people did not feel good about how that trilogy ended. And that was kind of a black mark on Bioware as well. So I absolutely agree they needed this. I don't agree with some people who are saying that if this flopped, we were not going to get Mass Effect 5. I feel like Legendary Edition did so well that EA is probably like, no, I want to see, is there more gold we can get up out of this mine before they shut it all down. So I felt like we were going to get Mass Effect 5 regardless, but still, it's really good to see Bioware doing well, to see Veilguard doing well, and it to at least seem like we're going to get more Bioware games. Now, I agree with what Tassie says here, that we really don't know what EA's expectations were for Veilguard. And honestly, that's something that a lot of the people who wanted Veilguard to fail have been bringing up. They're basically saying, well, if the game only sells 2 or 3 million copies, that's a failure. And that there's no way they would have recouped the money that they put into Veilguard if that's all it does. There's no way they're recouping the money that was put in to create Veilguard. That money's gone. That money's gone. And I feel relatively sure EA knows that. But the question is there something to build upon? Is there the possibility that, hey, in the next Dragon Age, we can really strike gold and cash in on all these people who love the license? And I think what's happening right now shows that the answer is yes. It shows that, hey, if you allow this team to make a vision for what they want Dragon Age to be right up front, and then they can spend the next 3 years building that vision and making a game that complements one focused vision, they would hopefully be able to craft a game that can get to that 10, 15 million in sales that they would really want back to Bioware's heyday. That is the question. And I feel like all of the positive buzz and all of the positive momentum around this game right now, it shows that Bioware should be given that opportunity in order to be able to do that. Anyway, that's my video. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'm really happy. I love Bioware. There's only a couple of dev studios that I'm actually loyal to. Bioware is one of them. I've loved Bioware for a long time. I didn't want to see them fail. Again, and this is coming from someone who is not sure that I actually like Veilguard. I'm not sure that Veilguard is for me, but even if Bioware isn't making games for me anymore, I still want them to be in business. I still want them to be producing games based around the lore and the worlds that I love. I'm really, really looking forward to Mass Effect. So as far as I'm concerned, all this news that we're getting, it's really, really good news. I'm grateful. So anyway, that's video. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.